Security. So I don't think that it's necessarily an avoidance of the painful cuts that are inevitable as a result of deficit reduction, but it's certainly putting it off during this election year. There's no doubt about that.
But, you know, Yuri, can you imagine a company like if my boss, Rupert Murdoch or Roger Ailes, said, you know, we don't feel like submitting a budget this year. We're just going to go wing it. I don't think that would fly.
It wouldn't fly,
well, I don't think that's
so disappointing.
That's not what's happening now.
Well, in a way, without
no, it's
a budget,
so disappointing. There's just no leadership. Yeah, it's disappointing. There's no leadership and courage in Washington. Let's just face the music and make decisions and get things done. And that's just not happening. And unfortunately, our entire economy, our way of life, is being threatened by the fact that, you know, we're spending too much. We've got too much debt, and we just have no direction, no plan. How are we going to get out of this mess? And it's frightening.
You know, Jonathan, the bottom line is we're in deep. We're in deep. How do we get out of being in deep?
Well, it starts by changing
your...
Well, it starts by changing your perspective, Neil, changing your philosophy. And I don't think we're going to, see Steny Hoyer opening at a Tea Party protest anytime soon. But I think the panel is right. The fact that even many on the left are starting to acknowledge the fact that you cannot simply continue to have massive government deficits, huge government spending, and expect that you're going to end up anything other than like what we've seen in Greece, Portugal, Spain, etc. I'm afraid, however, when I hear that government wants to start cutting defense spending, because for me, that's the primary role of government, to keep us safe. I'd rather them focus on what they call non-discretionary, i.e. entitlement programs. That's really where the major waste is.
Caroline, do you think Steny Hoyer...
I agree with Jonathan 100%. Yeah.
Caroline, do you think Steny Hoyer is a stalking horse, or Trojan horse, whatever you want to call it, pick your horse, for the president? That he is recognizing everything's going to be on the table as soon as we get past this budget, whatever. And just beware that everything is.
Well, I actually think he's going further than the president. So we actually see the Democrats not saying they're not going to put together a proposal, but they are going to put together some guidelines that go further than the president. So in that sense, I think it's really saying, look, we're serious about deficit reduction. But I think that all of this is a bit of smoke and mirrors in the sense that the government didn't get us into this crisis. Corporate greed and a lapse of ethics got us into this crisis, which caused a liquidity crisis.
Oh, okay, well,
that is absolutely what happened.
Bush. We've moved on to other evil people, but Lizzie...
Well, now George W. Bush and Obama both offered packages. Both of them acknowledged that the private market got us into this mess.
You just railed against both, and that's progress. Lizzie, where does this all go, though?
Social Security will be reformed, and we're living...
You and I are not getting it.
Yeah, we're not getting it. We're living about a decade longer than at the time when Social Security was first enacted in the 30s, so you're going to see retirement ages going up. Wow. And probably means testing.
Right, and of course, Social Security, Neil, and Medicare and Medicaid were not the functions of corporate America, as our guest, neither was Freddie or Fannie. Those were the functions of government intervention. That's going to be the unfortunate remedy, is more poison for the sick patient, and the result will be, as Yuri mentioned, more of the same. Decreased productivity, decreased wealth for all.
I'm sorry, real quickly, are we going to do a double dip here?
I absolutely think we're going into a double dip, unfortunately, and we have some really tough decisions to make. And, our kids and our grandkids are going to judge us on this. They're going to say, what did you do, back in 2010 when the country was on the brink of collapse? And were you ready to get your legislators to make tough decisions? And that's what we need right now. We need tough decisions.
I don't care about them, actually. As long as I skate by, I'll be fine with that. But, guys, thank you all very, very much. Tomorrow, don't forget, Chris Christie, the Republican governor of New Jersey, is having a devil of a time and becoming a sort of a YouTube sensation, taking on